We are standing right outside the Chatham House. Today, the 17th of January 2023, and the INEC chairperson, Professor Yakubu Mahmood, just yet again addressed the world, just like with other personalities from Nigeria. On the 5th of December, we had the APC presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He had his address, and of course, yesterday we had the candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, spoke to the world yesterday, and today the chairperson of INEC did his address. It was deep, it was rich, it was in-depth, there was a lot of information. It goes a long way to show that the chairman has done his homework, and there's going to be a better presentation for Nigeria. My name is Rose Peter Graham, and with me is Priscilla Wigbo, a political analyst. Thank you for joining me, Priscilla.
Hi Rose, I'm freezing. Hi everyone.
We're all freezing. I need to put on my other gloves before I freeze out here. Okay, so let's do this. Just a quick analysis of what went down. There's so much. I have my notes full here, but you see, there's something I am not happy about. As a matter of fact, I'm really upset. As someone who wants change in Nigeria, when the candidate of the APC was going to have his address, his presentation, this place was filled with people and with oppositions, displaying and we're at each other's throats. Yesterday we have the faithfuls of the Labour Party. They were also here, the obedient. And today, a critical address about this election. We're talking about change in Nigeria. And with the one person that is overseeing the affairs of this change was here today. And we have, just look at that. You can actually count the Nigerians who were here. This is actually the most important part of this election, and Nigerians are not here. It is very disappointing. We cannot be saying we want change and we're talking about an election every 4 years, and then we do not do the needful or the most important things. I don't know. I'm so upset. I'm lost for words. No, I'm taking it personal. I am taking it personal. I'm really upset, Priscilla.
Rose is taking it personal, everyone. Well, it was disappointing that the room was so empty. It's such a shame and a pity that people could not come out to listen to this particular aspect. I think Professor Yakubu Mahmood needs to actually have a proper town hall conversation. An hour is just not enough for him to speak for. He spoke for like 40 minutes, more than 40 minutes before we were able to ask questions, forcing it to go over time. But even with that, the interest was disappointing.
It is. The topic for today's is presentation. Of course, it's online, it's on the INEC website, but just a quick reminder, it's the Nigeria's 2020 elections, preparations and priorities for electoral integrity and inclusion. And it made us to understand that over 93.4 million people registered. That is huge. And he said it's across 14,000 constituencies. And these are part of the points that he actually gave. And he said this this numbers is actually 16.7 million higher than over 14 countries in Africa. He was just talking about how huge the number of the registered voters are in Nigeria. And something else he also pointed out was that Lagos has the highest number of registered voters. And only yesterday,
We have the highest number, but they always turn out the lowest.
and yes, yeah, and they always turn out the lowest. Isn't that strange? What is it that Lagosians are doing? And then when there's a rally, most of them take to the streets, and then the results at the end of the day, what happens to Lagosians during elections on election day? What?
Well, I don't know, but the presentation of the good professor was it just sounded all so rosy and so perfect. I mean, you listen to it and you're thinking, oh wow, it's gonna be great. But then, of course, we know that over the years, there's, the elections in Nigeria is always marred with problems of insecurity, problems of ballot boxes being hijacked, problems of, all kinds of problems. And there are problems now, for instance, of people complaining about collecting their PVCs, but he makes it sound like it's also wonderful and it's all just going well. So yeah, I mean, sounded also good, but obviously it's the practice that we're going to see if truly all the preparations that he says has been done. We will see it.
He was really particular about his preparations, and he kept on talking about the election technology that they have put in place.
Yeah.
And the
You
biometrics.
see, let me tell you something, Rose. Right? It's very disappointing to tell us about all this wonderful technology in place, but yet I cannot vote wherever I am at. You cannot be collecting so much biometric information, and I still required to pick up a card and show up and do all of these things before I can vote. Technology is supposed to simplify things, not complicate. And it just seems like in the Nigerian situation, the technology is just complicating things. Because, you've got to pick up that PVC. You've got to pick it up from the right place. You've got to show up with it. You've got to, register. I mean, for goodness sake, here, they send a card to my home because I'm a registered voter.
Yes.
I show up with that card.
It's
I'm
not even a
given
plastic
paper.
card.
No,
It's a paper card. A
And
paper
then I'm
card.
given paper, and I go into the booth and I make my choice and walk away. In less than 5 minutes, it's done. And there's no technological brouhaha involved. So with all that technology, you expect less problems. We never seem to get
Not
it.
just that, with all that money, with all the budget, we're talking billions upon billions of naira, we should be expecting a smooth sailing process.
Well, I get it because there's a lot of people to be taken care of. One of the questions I would have loved to have heard him address is that he has the manpower to be able to address the issues across the board. How many staff do INEC employ, and how many ad hoc staff do they employ in the election season to be able to address these issues? Because people go to these INEC offices and there's just one person there trying to serve and see to people's requirements. Those are all things that are not helping the situation. Voters are complaining of being disenfranchised because they either go there, their cards are not there, the INEC is not communicating adequately. From what you hear, but he made it sound so it's so smooth, it's perfect. We've given the people the opportunity to let us know what the problem is. So basically, the long and short of what he's saying is that if you find a problem in our system, let us know. Come to us, INEC, that is. And they will resolve it.
Okay.
So maybe Nigerians need to participate more.
Okay, I'll
Interrogate and engage with the INEC system a whole lot more.
I'll say this for him. He's a fine gentleman, and he took his time to give his presentation, and he was willing to answer all questions. And then he touched on areas that's been overlooked in the past. As one of the areas is provision for those living with disabilities.
Well, that was nice. Listen, I was here when Jada was here in 2005. And then I was here in Chatham House too, and I put questions to him. And at that point, obviously, the system was not as good as what it is today. But like you mentioned earlier, the budgets that INEC has, it's just such a huge mammoth budget each time that the problems that we see should not be arising. It's all dandy and lovely that he talks about disabled.
Yes.
But, how do they get there? Some of them are in wheelchair. Can they go through on their wheelchair into the venue? Can they do that sufficiently? We made mention about Braille and things like that, but I'm not sure that.
We talked about those who are deaf and those who are blind.
But I don't think it was enough. I mean, it's wonderful. It's a good start. It's good to know that those considerations are in place, and I suspect it will get better. But access is also something else really, really vital.
Okay, he said what they would do better in 2023. as at what they did in 2019. He says the election planning preparation. He just kept on going on about that. And he said the planning tools are ready. All the tools that are required for the election, 18 months before the election. So he has everything.
The proof of the pudding is in the eating.
So we'll see how far that is. Okay, so he said so they've got 14 activities that they have to do before the elections, and then he has done 11.
He didn't quite mention what those activities
Yes, he
were.
didn't, and that's part of the question I wanted to put to him. But let's leave that hanging. So he said the most important foundation of the commission is to register voters, and he said to the best of their ability they have done well.
It's not good registering voters and voters can't access their registration to use it.
That's a point.
Bragging about 93 million people being on the register, wonderful. But if at the end of it you'll come and tell me that only 30 million people voted, then hello.
Okay, something else I liked that he kept on. He was dropping a lot of figures. Of course, he's a professor. He knows what he's doing. There's this part where he talked about the 7th consecutive general election. Just in case you do not know, the 2023 elections is going to be the 7th consecutive general elections since 1999 that Nigeria embarked on a democracy. So, and then he talked about the child register, which they found out from 15 states. What's your take?
Yeah, I found it. The numbers he was mentioning sounded
They're
a
really
bit
small.
low.
It was really low. I heard
Sounded-
that
I just
too.
thought,
Like
really, yeah, it's nice to give us numbers.
like 15,000, and that was dealt with
Yeah,
instantly.
I said 21,000 and something, and we took them out. I just 53,000 to begin with, the initial one. But I
Yes.
just thought, what, really? Is that all?
Okay, so let me see. Like you said, diaspora voting, you've got to forget it. This is not going to
I
happen
think
in a
people-
long time.
No, it's not that. Let me explain this thing. Because even yesterday, I had people telling me it's not a constitutional matter. Hello, it is a constitutional matter. As he said yesterday,
Yes.
he made it clear. It's not he tried, he said they tried and put the matter through to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly voted on it. And they came up with I remember some nonsense that they said, that they spoke to Nigerians in Nigeria who said no, they didn't want Nigerians outside of Nigeria to vote,
Yes.
which was ridiculous. But here's the thing, Nigerians in diaspora, all of us need to find our respective senator and House of Rep members. And we need to then engage them and demand and insist that we want to vote, so that they can make sure that when the matter is tabled, they vote according to our desire and request. But we don't do that. And so, it's almost like a game. They're dribbling us. You hear one.
Oh no, they've left Nigeria. Why do they bother? Why do they want to vote?
It's really not acceptable when you think about it.
And just a quick message for Nigerians in diaspora. He said something that resonated with me, and I do agree with him. And he said we keep talking about the remittances that we send home. 28 billion every year we send down home to Nigeria. We are contributing to the economy. We're helping people. We're lifting them out of poverty and the likes. But guess what? He said, and I do agree, this is not about money. Once you're a Nigerian, it is your constitutional right to vote. And as according to the laws, you have to be residents in the country at that time, and that is when, once you're registered, you're in the country, you're registered, that is when you will be able to vote. So don't go saying I sent whatever amount to my family members last year, which means that I have a right to
people
vote.
have a right to say, look, we bring all this
I think
much
he's got
money,
a right. He has
but-
a right.
No, we bring this much money.
Yes.
Why do we also have to fight so hard? It should be a fair consideration.
But how would that be possible?
How
There are
would that be
Nigerians,
possible?
let's not even talk about Nigerians in Canada, in the
Listen,
US,
as long as they have
in
a
the
high
UK.
commission office, as long as they have a high commission and they have staff.
Do you know the Nigerian High Commission now? There are people who travel. for days
Yeah, but if we
to
know,
come here.
so
You know?
as long as we have a high commission, that's a place to start from. So don't tell me
How many?
logistics
Okay,
is
tell
not-
me, how many countries do we have the Nigerian High Commission? We're supposed to have it in every country of the world.
Listen, I don't know
But
that
I'm not
number.
sure.
I don't know
Yeah.
that number offhand.
Mhm.
But as long as one exists in a country, that's sufficient for them to work from there. And then you build on it. But to not do it at all is a different matter.
You're talking about Nigerians in Sudan, Nigerians in Niger, in Cameroon. The figures that will be coming in,
You make it sound as though. Anyway, let's just leave that one.
it's gonna be huge. And there's something else he said that was really good and positive. Priscilla, I want you to come closer so our audience can hear you. He talked about the voters between 18 and 49 years old. He said there are 70.4 million out of the 93.4 million people. 70.4 million are between the ages of 18 and 49.
I think that's fantastic to know.
Yes, it is.
As he put it, this election is election of the young people. So
Oh, yeah.
congratulations to all of you.
Yes,
You
yes,
know, I think
yes.
it's fantastic, and I hope that you'll all be allowed to express your to vote.
Okay.
Accordingly.
And then he said, as of yesterday, 600,000 Lagosians have got their PVCs. That's impressive, but I do not know the overall number of those who actually voted, registered in Lagos. But for
He didn't
600,000,
mention that, but let me tell you
yeah.
something. Lagos tends to turn out something like 1 million or so votes.
Okay.
All the time. It's about that, and it's not really impressive. Not really.
Did you hear the part where he talked about the new biometrics involving body odor?
That was a joke.
It was a joke. He didn't say. He said the guy explained it to him.
Yeah, I know, but it was meant to be a joke. He said his staff suggested that we could use body odor to identify people. It's
Yes.
a joke. I mean, come on. If I have my perfume on and have my body odor, if I change my
That
perfume-
is not even going to work because I can
change
smell
my
now.
perfume.
Yes. Yeah. So,
There was a conversation.
conversation. Nigerian presidential candidates, they come here to address Nigerians. Yes, yes. Thank you. Okay then. So that's one of it. And electoral framework. Okay, so that's for the diasporans. And of course, he keeps saying he is satisfied with the preparation. I'm satisfied with the preparation so
It's for
far.
Nigerians to measure and be satisfied with his preparations. He
Okay.
can be as happy as he likes.
I actually
He
put
can
down
be as
some
happy as
questions
Larry,
here.
but if the people, are not happy with it,
I,
then he
I,
hasn't done well.
I was going to put to him, where does he feel his hands are tied? Where do you think his hands are tied? For
I
us,
have no idea, 'cause I don't walk
him,
his shoe- in
no,
his
no,
shoes.
for him not to give us the election we deserve. Nigerians deserve a free, fair, credible election this year. Whatever year, but this time in particular, because if you're telling me this 7th consecutive dispensation, these elections have been marred with a lot of corruption, inadequacies, and the likes. But this time around, he needs to give us a credible election. And sometimes he makes us feel that he faced certain challenges with the laws, with the National Assembly, and the likes. But with what he has at his disposal right now, I do not think that he would or he should come up with an excuse at the end of the day.
Well, I don't know. I suspect that the job is humongous and the job will have a lot of issues. So as to whether or not he should come up with excuses, I don't know about that.
If I did get a one-on-one with
So
him,
I'm gonna run away because I'm cold.
yes, I'm cold. We're cold. I'm cold. But just one more thing. You have a long way to get to the train
I
station.
don't care.
Okay,
I
just
I
2
need to
seconds.
move and not stand
Two,
still.
yes, I know. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I would love to put this question to him. It's a humanitarian question. He talks about the properties of INEC that are being destroyed and are being replaced. What about the lives lost? What is INEC doing for
It's
those
not for
who lose
INEC. It's not
themselves?
for INEC. It's for the states to protect. It's not for INEC. That's not his job.
No. The provision he's making for them. Like, say you lose your leg now. So you're telling me it's the states that would take care of that?
The states
You're working for INEC.
You're working for the states. This is the problem sometimes. We don't realize who's responsible for what because some
No, Priscilla, I know. I
have
do
some
not
interesting
agree.
questions.
You're working for INEC.
Yeah,
It's like if I'm working for
security.
NTA, yes, there should be security provided for me. If anything happens to me, if I go to
Beyond security,
Abuja,
well, what's he supposed to do?
you're telling me.
Once
wait,
he puts his hands up and says I provided security, then what?
no, you don't understand. There should be provisions for staff.
Like what?
If you lose your life, your family gets 20 million naira.
Well, that's
or
something for the states to agree with.
The states or INEC itself.
Listen, guys.
Okay,
that
before
was
Christina
for
and I go haywire, I think I was cut off from the camera. Before we go blah blah blah, and then we are actually freezing because as it is right now, we need to run. We hope we've been able to give you the best of today's
Probably wasn't as
outing.
good as it could be because of the cold.
The-
And Rose
the
just
cold.
wanted to do this outside. And
What else? I
I'm
like the open air.
I'm complaining, but it's been fun, guys.
Okay.
If they let us in tomorrow, we're gonna try.
I like the fact that we don't always agree, so that's good. So I'm going to put this to a close, and hopefully tomorrow we're going to be here for the candidate of the NMPP. That is the AMPP. That's Kwankwaso. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.